Hi, how are you, everyone? I'm so glad to see you here. I am Candace, mama, author, and coach here at Soul Cadence Coaching. And around here, we talk about creativity, motherhood, fulfillment, all in terms of chronic illness. And obviously, when I talk about creativity, it's usually writing because that's what I do the most. Although we're about to have a smattering of digital art thrown in because I just got my iPad and learned how to record my screen while chatting with you. So look for more of that, like my maker work in progress video, which will be down below, where I make a map of my newest book project that I'm working on. That will be my Camp Nano project. But today, what I want to do is the authortube chronic illness and disability tag. Now, I've said before on this channel that I'm not really an author tuber. I mean, I'm talking about books that I'm writing and the process and all those things, but I more see myself as like a creator tuber slash coach, chronic illness tuber. I don't know. Anyway, I'm here to talk to you guys about living creatively fulfilled lives while dealing with chronic health and mental health issues. That's what I'm here for. But in light of that, because I am an author, today we're doing the authortube chronic illness and disability tag because when I found this last night, I felt like I found my people. So that's what we're going to do. This tag was created by Megan McCarthy, another small author tuber. I just discovered her last night through this tag. And so go check her out. Go watch her videos. I plan to binge watch the playlist throughout today and find other authors that are in the same situations that I am. If you have read the blog recently, you know that I've talked to Lindsay Puckett, and she is another author tuber who deals with her own chronic illnesses. And so it's nice to know that we're not alone. So without further ado, let me get into the questions. And if I look down, it's because I'm reading the questions and they're on my iPad down here. So the first question is, what chronic illness or disability do you have, or do you have multiple? So I have multiple. Ever since I was a kid, I had chronic migraines. I have dealt with PTSD, complex PTSD that was undiagnosed, as well as a undiagnosed personality disorder. So that was a fun one to find as an adult who had already had my license in marriage and family therapy. But after having 2 back-to-back pregnancies, I also developed or triggered a huge occurrence of fibromyalgia. I think I had it before the kids, but I didn't know. I also have Crohn's, which was undiagnosed for almost a decade. Basically, the doctors were like, you have IBS, which means we can't do anything for you. But they didn't really run any tests. So this year, I finally got tests run, and it's Crohn's. So there you go. So fibromyalgia, chronic migraine, Crohn's, PTSD, a personality disorder, and anxiety, because let's round that all out. And yet I'm still doing my best to live chronically fulfilled and creative. Okay, so creatively fulfilled with chronic illness. You know, both of those things. So question number 2 says, have you had your chronic illness or disability your entire life? So since childhood, chronic migraine, and PTSD, and anxiety. Possibly since my adolescence, the Crohn's, or at the very least IBS, but I didn't get that looked at until I had a really scary experience in my 20s. That also could have been linked to a thyroid issue that was undiagnosed. So that developed in my early 20s. And then the fibromyalgia, I think, also developed around the same time, but we didn't get it diagnosed until 2020 after my son came. So yeah, so some I've had lifelong and some are adulthood developments. So yeah. And then the next question, what healthy coping skills have you learned because of your disability? That's a good question. Honestly, I'm still working on it. But in all seriousness, I think especially after developing postpartum depression, fibromyalgia, and having two babies to take care of, learning how to tell my husband a little more clearly what's going on and what I need from him has been monumental, as well as asking for time to rest when I need it, and forcing myself to slow down. I am a pretty high achiever, so I can tend to push and push, and that leads to issues. So those are probably the two biggest, but I literally honestly am still working on finding the best coping mechanisms, because if you know anything about PTSD, it doesn't always come with the best coping mechanisms. And even though I am a trained therapist, sometimes I still forget the same stuff that I tell my clients. I don't work with clients anymore. I'm retired now. So even though I'm a retired licensed marriage and family therapist, I don't practice anymore. So don't ask me all about that, because I don't practice anymore. Okay. Retired. Even when I was practicing, even now when I'm doing my coaching or when I'm teaching my students social skills, I still some days am like, I'm telling you this and I'm going to go have the same issue when I leave this classroom. So I'm still learning. All right. Question number 4. Do you apply your experiences to your writing? So yes, actually my first novel was dealing with a girl who was dealing with depression, 2 girls specifically, dealing with depression and suicide and what that was like for them. Now, that book is available for the time being. It is going to be removed because it's going to be republished with a sequel eventually about postpartum depression. So, yeah, but it is available. I will warn you, it's not going to be the most like literary. It's more of a novella. But it was a way to work out what I was dealing with at the time. The same with some short stories that I have in a collection with a friend of mine. In the current work in progress that I'm doing, there's a lot of physical and psychological illnesses that occur with the characters, especially the main characters. So yes, I do incorporate it because I think we need more representation, and it's a way for me to work out what's going on for myself, to process, to learn more about my own symptoms or what I have going on. So yes, I will be using some of my experiences to shape the experiences of the characters in my worlds. So yes, so I write cozy mystery thrillers, cozy psychological mystery thrillers, I guess is what I would call them. And then I do have a couple of dystopians in the works, but I started writing them before 2020 happened. And when 2020 happened, they hit a little too close to home. So I kind of put them away for a little while. Like literally it's crazy. So I put those away for a while until I can figure out how to process them in light of 2020, because I started writing them for NaNoWriMo 2019. So yeah. And then I do have a fantasy in mind, and that will also include things around chronic illness for that world. So yeah, because I do think, even not in direct representation, I do think we need more representation, which oddly enough, I actually found, this is not part of this tag, this is a complete side note. I just read the book Cinder for, I teach a writing class online, and my students wanted to talk about Marissa Meyer's process and how you put together several different genres and things like that. And I read Cinder for the first time. And let me tell you something. I have never felt so seen by a book in my entire life. Like, I don't know that she was trying to encapsulate what it's like to live with a chronic illness, but I have never felt so freaking seen in my whole life. than I did reading that book. So if you haven't read it, go read it. It's fantastic. I'm going to try to get through the rest of this video before my battery dies. So question 5, how does your chronic illness or disability alter your writing routine? Well, I have to write when the kids are asleep and when I have the energy to. So that's how. But honestly, it also sucks some creativity out, and that's really difficult for me. So, but I do try to write in the evenings, and I do try to write or do something creative like filming during my children's nap times and after they go to bed. I do my best. I do what I can. So question 6, how does it impact your writing style, topics, character, etc.? So that goes back to, I do want to include my experiences. I do want to have characters that have this understanding that can make others like me feel seen, especially as young adults. So again, I'm 32. I've had chronic illnesses since childhood, but a lot of the biggest issues came in my mid to late 20s. And everyone's like, well, you're so young, you can't be that sick, blah, blah, blah. And I want other young adult characters. So I write mostly new adult / adult fiction, except for my first novel, which is a dark young adult psychological drama fiction, contemporary. So I'm growing into myself. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that one was also new adult. So I write new adult fiction, and I want others that are in their 20s, in their early 30s, in their late teens to look at someone else and feel seen by that character. So yeah. What about your chronic illness or disability has surprised you? The fact that a person's body can be in pain so consistently for so long. Yeah, that, I don't know if we're talking good surprises or bad surprises, but that's the biggest surprise to me. As well as just how cruel and assuming people can be. So whether it be 2 back-to-back pregnancies, medications, the fact that I don't have energy, the fact that my eating changes based on what I can stomach or what my body can process. Weight has been an issue all my life, really, but
hello everyone, welcome back to Royalty.
Oops. That scared me. Sorry about that, guys.
Complicated.
So the fact that a person can consistently be that much in pain, and then that people can just make assumptions or like assume that you're just lazy or you don't want to do something because of how you look, that's been probably the biggest. And my YouTube just went all crazy. Okay, so number 8, how did your family react? Well, again, I've had chronic migraines my whole life. And I have a younger sister who has also had both my younger sisters have had their own struggles. So when it comes to my mom, she's been very understanding because she also has had her own struggles. I don't talk about it a lot with a lot of my family, because I don't know how they'll respond. So I don't know. My husband has been doing his best to be understanding. And from what I've seen of other people in the same situations, he's been really understanding, because some of this was like 2 years into our marriage, here's this thing that you're going to have to navigate that's like almost impossible. That's going to require extra load on your shoulders. And yeah, so he's been really good about it. Overall, my family is supportive. They try to make sure that I am taking care of my health. I just don't talk about it a lot with them. I'm much more like apt to tell people on YouTube. or Instagram. I'm always on Instagram. That's my home away from home on the internet. Go find me, Soul Cadence Coaching. That's where I am. But yeah. 9, what do you celebrate about your chronic illness or disability? Honestly, I don't. And I probably should start. So I'm going to give that some thought. And number 10, what is your favorite form of self-care? Reading, writing, watching YouTube videos, playing Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley on my Switch, doing puzzles, anything that I can do in a dark and quiet place. I also am a very big advocate of practical self-care, making sure that you're doing your hygiene tasks, changing your clothes, trying to build those things back into your life, especially if you've gone through a period of really bad depression or anxiety. Those things can fall by the wayside. So I'm a very big advocate of practical self-care. But when we think about like self-care that rejuvenates us, reading, writing, watching what I love, whether it be trash television, like old TV shows I've seen a million times, or YouTube videos of channels that I love, to, now being back to digital art, and then to playing games on my Switch. I literally only play Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley, and I've trying to get into Cozy Grove and the other one that's like Stardew Valley. That's Stardew Valley, the new Pioneers of all of town. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, so that's what I do. So this has been the authortube chronically ill and disabilities tag. And if you are another author, I would like to tag you to do this. If you're creative and you want to just adapt this to your own creative process, whether it's knitting or painting or creating YouTube videos, I want to invite you to do that as well. Share with your community, and then make sure you go give Megan a shout and some credit. But do this for your creative community too, so that in all creative communities we start opening up about this, so that things can kind of shift a little bit for us, that we can be more brought in and included. I would love to see that, because around here, while I am an author and I do like doing other creative things, and so I am all about the creative. I'm all about women who are creative and want to do creative things, whether they're hobbies, businesses, or ministries. So I pass that on to you. If you see this video and you have your own stuff, share down below. If there's anything that I can, give a listening ear to, let me know. But yeah, so with that, thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you guys again very soon. Bye, friends.